Welcome, guys, to another episode of Enter the Javelin, Mixer's one and only Anthem community web shows. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. It is Memorial Day 2019. So, guys, if you're hanging out with us today, appreciate that. Taking some time away from your families or fun functions that you're doing. Thanks. But I really do appreciate it, guys. So today, after last week, we finished up talking about some legendary gear last week, and what I want to do this week is discuss improvements to
surprise, motherfucker,
the Prospero store. So realistically, one of the biggest problems that I have right now with the Prospero store is the fact that it's not only the fact that there's not a lot of things in there, it's the fact that the feature of the store doesn't benefit us in any way, shape, or form except make something more available. I think with the price of items right now, we should see a reduction in price for these featured slots. So if you're going to rotate things out once or twice a week, instead of the 61,000 coin or 850 shards it costs for an armor pack, I think the price should be reduced a couple times a week, and just give us access to everything. Give us access to all the armor sets at that base price, and then just let's put some featured things in. And from what I understand, things are going to improve in the near future. I don't have any proof or factual information, but to do something surprising. What's that, Doc? Dog is late. Of course he's late. He's probably doing his thing. But you know what? I get it. It's a holiday. We're all trying to recoup what's going on here. Oh, and Doc would start a roulette. That is what he would do. But guys, thank you so much for the support today. Crow, thank you for tweeting out the stream. I hear him on my headset. But we're not gonna talk too much about these particular things. We're gonna talk about the Prospero store. That's the first thing I wanted to touch on. And there's really not too much to talk about it. Dark Life, how you doing tonight, man? And just improving armor and cosmetics as a whole moving forward. Thanks so much for the host, Dark Life. So the other thing that I'd like to see in the near future is something that they should have put into the game earlier. So at launch, we really didn't have anything cosmetic wise that you could actually earn in the game from drops or anything like that. And then they put in the Elysian caches, which you earned a key once per day to unlock a chest at the end of a stronghold. Now they recently took that away about 3 or 4 weeks ago, like at the beginning of May, and it caused a lot of uproar. And I can understand why people are upset that there's a lot of ways that you could want to or potentially upgrade your javelin, and for them to put that in the game and then take it away. You're late though, from what Crow says. I'm late too, so I can't even say that. I got started late today. Better late than never. You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. So for them to add something in the game that was as well received as it could be, as Legion caches were, and then to take them away without people having the opportunity to get everything that was available in those things, is a little frustrating, and I can understand that 100%. What I think they're gonna do in the future is potentially put some of those things that people didn't get into the item shop, but 100% those have to be obtainable immediately. So if they're gonna put all of those things back into the item pool or something like that, they got to be able to grab those first thing. League, how are you, man? Good morning. And Doc wins the early roulette in here. Very early on, and I think these two episodes back to back are pretty synonymous with how I felt. Where's Milk? Probably sleeping, man. Probably sleeping. Oh no, I want to go the other way, I think. So the two biggest things that you look at in a game like Anthem or Destiny, Warframe, a lot of the games where personalization means so much, both in how the game plays and how you look. What Anthem was calling it initially, or BioWare was calling it initially, was the idea of power and vanity. You know, and you have customization two ways. Well, they call it customization, personalization, power and vanity. And last week we talked a lot about customization and improving legendary gear. You know, and like just this week we'll talk a little bit about the personalization aspect of it. I do think that it's a bit lacking. So if you were to go into Prospero's store right now, you would see that the last armor set that people were really like waiting for, they call it the Ranger Reaper set, which is very similar to what like Outlaws use and stuff like that, finally got put into the game on this past Friday's reset. And that's a lot of time. You know, we're 90 days, almost 90 days into launch. Like what was it? Yeah, almost 90 days into launch. Actually over 90 days at this point. And that was the thing that people were looking for really early on, and they didn't really put that into the game until now. So that's kind of frustrating. So what I would like to see moving forward, and hopefully this is something they can implement sooner rather than later, we need to see armor sets and other cosmetics, armor sets and vinyls at least, that are enemy based. So we need armor sets based around the Tyrant Mine, you know, the Swarm Tyrant. We need armor sets based around the big Luminary in the Temple of Scar. We need armor sets and decals or vinyls, stickers, wraps, whichever one you want to call them, around the Monitor in the Heart of Rage, and also to the big Fury in the Sunken Cell. That doesn't even go into the other things that I would like to see as far as content goes, but I think as a bare minimum, where we want to look as cool as we want to in this game, give us more stuff. Give us more stuff. Let us have a reason to go in every week and earn these new things. And I think you'd see a little bit of an influx of players back to the game, and I think that would be a great thing right now. You know, we're a little over a week away, or 2 weeks away, or a little under 2 weeks. So it's not this Friday, but next Friday is when EA Play is going to happen. It would bring a lot of people back, that's for sure. Yeah, I think it's more about like the actual content as opposed to like the collection of things. But anything is a step in the right direction right now, you know. And I really truly believe in this game, and I believe in BioWare, and I think they're going to turn the ship around. But they need to do it sooner rather than later. All Might's One for All versus Melios' full counter. I don't know, man. I don't know the true power of the full counter, you know. Why do you think they aren't going to do caches again with new stuff to earn, and hopefully the old stuff too? If you didn't get everything the first time, I think they're just going to put it right into a cache or you know, sweat currency situation. So it's going to go right into the item shop. So that'd be the best way to do it. I don't think you should lock people out based on. I don't think you should lock people out based on, you know, seasonal. But say, like, you know, this period of time is one season. You can earn anything for free during that period, and then the next time you're going to need sweat currency or shards to earn them. So if you know that something like really cool exists, so if they put, like, just for example, if they put like that what did they call that, the skin with the stripes that everybody had during the alpha or the beta, if they put that into the Elysian cache chest and you didn't get it the first time around and you wanted it, at least when the season resets, or, you know, the time period resets, you'd be able to go and earn it with your coins or shards. And I think that's because, as much as you don't want to hear it, they want to make it so that you can you know, have free content. So there has to be a way to purchase things in game. A season works in many other games. Yeah, but I don't think they should lock out things completely if it's a live service game. You know, like a lot of games have seasons where you have things for one particular season. Like, you know, that's the way like Diablo works. But I think with Destiny and Warframe and stuff, you need to have that ability to get those things later down the line. I know in games in the past, you know, if you had a one-time event, you could earn these things and then never earn them again. Then set a date, you know, way far out and say, you know, this is the time we're gonna offer this again. And when you bring it back, people get super duper excited, and then you get your influx of players back. That's the way Warframe does it with the vaulted Warframes. You know, like they have usually a selection of a handful of Warframe Prime Warframes that you can get at any given time in the game, and when they bring a new one out, they put one into the vault, so you can't get that anymore. But you know, it's like once every 3 months they bring a set back. They give you the ability to even earn it. You don't even have to buy it. You can earn it in the game still. And then it becomes an event, you know, and people get excited for those types of things. Is that if new players, so if, you know, I'm a new player right now and I didn't play the game when Loki Prime was available, but now I can go back into Warframe right now because Loki Prime is in the loot table. I can go farm for the parts. I'm not happy that you can't get those things anymore, but at the same time, the only good things that were really emotes and the grab it skin. Yeah, but that, you know, it's something. It's something, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit because I see both sides of it. Because at one hand of the equation, you say you need to create urgency, and you know, having limited time things creates urgency in the player base, and they say, this thing is only going to be available for this specific amount of time. I need to get in on that particular time and go get it. You know, on the other hand, if you give them the ability to get it later, you could do the influx of cash flow or sweat currency. What features from other games would benefit Anthem the most? I really can't tell you until we hear at EA Play. There's a lot of different things that Anthem could really benefit from. A legendary gear vendor, like we talked about it last week a little bit. Like a legendary gear vendor, I think would provide some of the most value right now, because legendary gear is pretty hard to come by at this point. Something was leftover stuff. You know, I love the game, but that stuff could have been way better. Oh, I agree. Gear drops like Diablo 3 would be great. I think if you put too much loot in the game, it kind of spoils everything else, and that's why it's not the way it is. So, if there was more direct ways to loot, it would be a little bit better, as opposed to just say if you put in a Borderlands style system, I think it would just ruin the value of loot. Well, they need to effort cache is actual preview of the rewards. Like, well, I mean, if you're getting it as a reward, I don't think it really makes a difference. You know, if it's just like a cash item, like or cache item, not a cash like money cash. That's different. That I can understand. Or it's got to be somewhere in the API, and I don't think there's like true access to the API. Gear sets, I think, need to be a thing, and I think they could base them around different bosses or different factions. You know, so like there are certain things that you can do, certain ranks for defeating X amount of enemies. So in those particular instances, you should get you know, a craftable blueprint for this particular masterwork weapon or something like that. You think they'll be adding more weapons. I know they'll be adding more weapons. It's a loot game. They have to do it. It's just when. That's the issue. I don't know when. We should know more by the end of next week, after EA Play. And if we don't hear anything, then we're in trouble. Realistically, we should have heard something already about the Cataclysm, or what they're going to be doing with the Cataclysm, or future content as it stands right now, because they did say that they would say something in May. And I don't want to be the person to like stick to hard numbers or say that like we expect these particular things, but people aren't wrong. Like they said, we would hear more in May, and it's May 27th right now. The month is over in a few days, and they're not delivering on those expectations, you know, and that's frustrating. So to be where we are right now and the game not being in the greatest state, definitely having Just communication would be good right now. Always been a fan of my tunes looking different. Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that was the difference of, you know, Destiny 1 vanilla to Destiny 2 year 2 and beyond. You know, that. And it doesn't even matter about your own tunes; it's everybody else's. You know, so when in Destiny 1 vanilla, everybody looked the same because there was only the raid set. The only way to get to max power, you were at the raid set. And a lot of MMOs suffer from the same thing. Is that if you are a warlock, or if you're a wizard, or if you are, you know, a mage or something like that, all of the armor looks the same from the top to bottom. You know, no matter who is a mage, all the mages look the same once they hit max level. That I don't like. You know, if they Dauntless right now has a transmog system, and I think that's great. So even if you're all using the same armor, you can make it look like different things, and that's I want to look the way I want to look, and everybody else wants to look the way they want to look, and I think that's a good thing. That's something we should really strive for, as opposed to saying that this is the loot and this is what you get. And that's why I don't like Borderlands customization systems, because there's set classes, set looks, and I don't like that. I like things to be a little bit more personal. So I agree with you 100%. And I think revamping Prospero's store, which is really what I wanted to talk about today, and cosmetics in general, would do a huge service to the game and the community to be able to do that, and to kind of avoid the issue by making cosmetics and not having power. Not having power make a difference is an issue. I don't think there's enough cosmetics. Like there's not enough cosmetics in the game to even talk about them being a thing. Like once you get to, you know, legendary gear, it doesn't really make a difference. Like everything else is kind of the same. Anthem needs to have more cosmetics, honestly. More cosmetics, more loot. I think that's just where we're at this point when you talk about, you know, customization and personalization in general. But the power level is a whole other argument in and of itself. And it's kind of what we talked about a little bit last week. There's a problem with getting the loot, and then what's the meaning behind it? So you have to get the loot to do the higher content, and the higher content isn't getting you more loot or better loot. So that's another problem in and of itself. So they really need to sit back and look at, say, why are you chasing legendary gear other than a number? Are you really benefiting enough to be able to do the more difficult content? And what am I getting out of the difficult content that makes it worth my time to get the gear in the first place? These are super important questions. And, you know, I know they really wanted to attack the idea of saying you need to synergize, you need to understand your builds and everything like that. But I don't think that those are the issues right now. Rayman, thank you so much for the host, man. Appreciate you, bud. Mixer app is too late for me to contribute here, so I'll try to get my computer soon. I'm sorry about that, Chira. I'm answering the question, so I don't know if you're not like you know, typing and everything like that. I know the mobile app is frustrating to use, and they're working on improving it all the time. It sounds like a broken record type of conversation, but they really are. If I could tell you more, I would, but there's certain things under NDA that I can't talk about. But I think we really have to wait until next week to know where we're gonna be in 2 months or 3 months. I'd say you look at a game in 3 month intervals, especially live service, because that's what a normal, you know, world season goes for, like, lasts, and that's what a game season typically lasts as well. So I mean, that's Warframe, Destiny, Diablo. I think Diablo's somewhere in that time frame, right? Like 3 months or so. But that's the way you have to look at it. You have to look at content every 3 months and say, where are we going? Where are we right now? Where are we going? And what can we do to improve the next time we do this? And I think that BioWare have done a lot of soul searching over the last 90 days to really hammer out what we expect from them moving forward, and I think they're going to be working on that. I think they have been working on that in the time being. So hopefully they are not so quiet about it anymore and they start talking about it. I understand from where we were that they don't want to express too much until they have a concrete idea of what they're going to give us and dates or reasonable time frames for those things, because not having anything that we were promised to have right now is frustrating, and for them to delay a lot of that content. So guilds, leaderboards, the Cataclysm, more strongholds, world events, all got delayed for 2 months, 1 to 2 months or more, and we're sitting here with not a lot of content to play. So I mean, there's little achievements and little accolades to complete in the meantime, which is really the reason why we only go in a few hours a week to play. If there was more to do, I'd be playing more, and I'm just thankful that there's tons of other games that I'm enjoying right now, and I hope that BioWare makes good on everything that they've said, and I do believe that they will. But for the player base at large, I really hope that this game gets to where it needs to be. There are still problems out there with people making things worse than they actually are. Like, things are not in a great state right now, and I'll never deny that fact at this point. But for people dealing with connectivity issues, I think most of those have been kind of dealt with at this point. And they're, fine-tuning and hammering out the last details of every little problem that they had. But connectivity issues are relatively slim to none at this point. I think what comes down to is, is the gameplay worth my time right now? Do I really want to put off playing other games to make sure that I go in and get these things? That's the most important thing about a looter shooter. Excellent! Or a loot game in general. Psychotic, thank you so much for the host, man. How you doing tonight? How's your weekend, man? I hear you. I went out with the family yesterday, and I got a little color, a little more burn in my arms than I thought I was. I took a shower before, and it was just like stinging when you have that burn. But we're good. We're back inside. My skin is still pale, and I'm ready to play games today. We're gonna jump into Anthem here in a few minutes because I just don't think we have a whole lot to talk about. I'm glad we can have a good conversation, even though brief. About the loot and cosmetic situation in Anthem right now. I had 3 days of fam done. I definitely understand you. Like, I love my family and like my immediate family, like my wife and my kid. But once you get past that, I start stressing out. So I get you. Hopefully you had a hot dog, though. I think that's the most important thing for me about Memorial Day weekend is enjoying a hot dog at some point. I had one before I got started today, so I'm good. You got 2 things for Anthem. Let's hear it. Let's talk about it, Psychotic. Separately, so we can discuss while you're typing. It would be the best way to go about it. So, while we're waiting for Psychotic to put his 2 cents in there, you're gonna see a lot of negative things over the next couple of days, and I think I hope things are put to rest in about 2 weeks. But some a lot like the bigger named hate baiters have been really ripping on the game. Saying that EA and BioWare is going to abandon the game, BioWare is going to get shut down, and those things are not true. I can tell you right now that BioWare isn't going anywhere. Do you think a wave challenge would work? Like a horde mode? Like something similar to that? Like the way Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was? I agree 100%. I do think that would work out, and I think it's something that you could really challenge the player base and really set a bar as far as skill goes with a lot of players, and I think it's something that people are really looking forward to in the near future. So hopefully they can put that in. I agree. I think that would be a good change up front. How they implement it, how they make it fit with the lore and the world as it stands right now is definitely the key.
Excellent.
Who's your boy David, the host again, dude? Hope your weekend was good, man. I've got friends that aren't going to play until they do something different. It's soon. Expect something soon. I don't think they're going to go beyond next weekend without saying anything. It's EA Play next weekend, and that's, if we don't hear anything, then start to worry. But I have pretty good confidence that we're going to hear something next weekend. Is it possible if no news comes out soon, there'll be crippling blow? Yeah, no, I would say that people would really be hard pressed to move away from it. DJ says, I think they need to rethink the XP thing. I don't have a lot of people to play Anthem with, and I get hosed because I play solo a lot. I don't think that XP is a problem. Trying to bring my guys back to play the game, and one of my guys said a horde mode would get them back into it. I think a horde mode would be good. I don't think it would bring the player base back at large unless the loot was good. That's what it comes down to, man. Like, the game is worth your time if the loot is worth it. So if they come up with good challenges that get you loot or cosmetics or something like that, then people are interested in playing. But as far as a you know, just is a game mode going to bring people back to a looter shooter? No. You gotta have loot. The Dark Life, I'm not even entertaining that comment. They won't do it. They don't have the talent to make it work. I see groups getting good drops in as a single player. I'm lucky to see legendary drops like once every 30 to 40 gameplays. I get it once a week, playing with a group. Once a week, if I'm lucky. But like, playing with a group doesn't up your chances of drops at all. Do you think a large number of player base raid will help like 6 to 8 players? Would it help? No, I don't think it would. Would it give players other things to do? Yes. And I think I would love to see like a raid type activity, and definitely want to see something with more players than 4. But it all comes down to loot. Game needs a raid with getting loot, kind of how it is now, making it a grind and worth having. Yes. Loot needs to be more significant. That was like, everything comes down to loot, and it's not about like the guns being bad or anything like that. It's just like, make things like significant. You know, if the raid gives you a really great drop and everybody wants to have it, it gives you the opportunity to go in there and get it. Give it like a handful of rolls. DJ, I mean, we're waiting to hear more about the Cataclysm and understand what that is. So until we know more about that, I wouldn't say that we're not getting a raid. So, well, we need to see what the Cataclysm is first before we make any sort of conclusion that we're not going to get a raid or a raid type scenario. But I've seen solo players have no issue going through this game and playing all the highest content. D1 launch raid and how you leveled was very good to me. No, actually, no, definitely not. Because the problem with that is that it made it too important to do the raid to get to max level. Not saying that max level made a difference, because you only you could get through it at 28, which you'd have half raid drops at that point. So, do I think that raid content should be one of the places to get the most significant pieces of gear? Yes. But should there be other ways as well? Yes. It locked out a lot of players. It really destroyed the player base early, because if you weren't raiding, then you weren't doing anything else in Destiny early on. Also, a Destiny PV type question. All right, Sakai, let's hear it, man. I think as many parts of the game need to be accessible within reason. Oh, I agree. I think that people that play it should be rewarded, but there also should be something for solo players. I can see from the side of not wanting good drops to make players grind, but I also see it from a single player side, not getting anything dropping for long periods of time. It's making it hard to making it go both ways. No, like I said, like playing with a group or playing by yourself, it doesn't change the drop chances at all. Everything is instant, so it's based off your own gear score. What do you think our chances of an actual Destiny 3? It's in the works. Destiny 3 is being worked on as we know it, but what it is, when it is, or anything like that, it's no Destiny 2 as it stands right now is going to be completed within the next, I would say, year. I could be wrong, but because of the split between Bungie and Activision, they kind of got to make a clean break there, and Destiny would be its own IP on being published by Bungie. Nah, I'm okay with the way it is. Like, the same thing with the way Destiny 1 was. Need to wait on D3, make it right the first time. People will wait. The problem with Destiny is that if you go a year without content again, people will leave and not even worry about Destiny 3. Destiny has gone through multiple content droughts, and people have struggled to come back. No, Destiny will never die, because like I'll always play Destiny. As long as there's content to play, I'll always play Destiny, because the game does a lot of things right. Like, if they fix the Crucible, it would be the best game out right now. My biggest problem with Destiny right now is the Crucible. It's not fun enough to me, with all the bad recent things that have been going on, and people are so little patient. That's a you, like, you know, that's a you problem, not you specifically, but that's a problem with people's perception, not with the game itself. I've been playing Destiny Beta. It's been a good game, not planned out too well is all. Nah, I disagree. Like, there's definitely things that like weren't done right, but like Destiny 2 vanilla is 100% based off of what players asked for. It just wasn't implemented the right way. Like, four person Crucible was already what like tournament players were already doing. 2 primaries, that's what people asked for. People asked for more primary gunplay. That's why we got 2 primaries. Everything in vanilla Destiny 1 is what people asked for, just not implemented the right way. Except for loot, except for static rolls, nobody wanted that. The rollout could have been better. I think the rollout and the hype of Destiny 2 was at its absolute highest. It's just I'm glad they nipped everything in the bud right away and then fixed it immediately. Launch D1 was the best of Destiny. I don't know. Like, the game's really like in a great place right now, except for Crucible. I'd say year 2, like after Taken King, was probably the best Destiny ever was. Because even at the end of vanilla, there was not a lot to do, but the first 4 to 6 months of Taken King was in a really good place. What's the highest luck anyone's seen on an item in Anthem? I have 43 on one, I believe. 42, 43, something like that. I think that's the highest. 42, 43. But But I want to understand what luck actually does, because like I've seen people get like consistent good drops at 0 luck and get consistent good drops at 90% luck. So it's I don't know how luck affects things on a grand scale. But I'd be curious to know, for sure. You know, we were told that 90% is the sweet spot. Like adding 90% luck is the sweet spot of where you want to be. But I've seen both. I've seen both do well, 0 and 90%, and everywhere in between. But I mean, I think Anthem has a lot to learn from Destiny, but it's less like Destiny and more like Diablo, as far as like loot and activities go, and that's we just need more stuff to do. That was the next question. I have 5 items equipped, all with luck, and drops don't seem to change at all. Yeah, I don't know how significant luck actually is. I think it's what Crow says. How much you pray to Iron Jesus? Because I'll have weeks like a couple weeks I had 3 legendaries in one night, and then I got 1 last week. You know, it all depends, and I use the same loadout because I like it so much. Rarely ever touch anything. Fine with the loot drops, it just gets too many dupes. My problem is that there's not enough legendaries. Like the legendaries aren't generous enough. But like I said earlier, I've seen legendary happen almost 2 weeks and I play daily. That is a problem. Anthem's like Division 2 right now. Is way too many variables. Why too many variables to try and get a decent roll? And that's like I would like to see legendaries narrowed down as far as like the loot pool. Like only have a certain amount of perks in legendaries so that they're all relatively beneficial to what you're using it for, as opposed to like all of these things where you can get like elemental like you know multiple different elemental damages and stuff like that on a legendary when you really don't necessarily need it, or it's not going to work for the build that you have. And I understand like that's what part of the grind is, but I don't know, don't like it. That's me personally. Why are we getting the blue and white drops if you're over 700? Blows my mind. I haven't seen a blue or white drop. Blue, yes. I don't see white drops at all. I don't see white or green drops. Blue, you see. It's just the way the loot works. But I haven't seen a white drop since February. Or green for that matter. Blue drops are going to happen if you do anything under even I think GM1 and GM2 you can get blue drops, or GM2 you can't. GM2 you can't get blue drops. GM1 you can. Only time I get blue and green was I go into normal, easy, and hard mode. Yeah, I don't do that at all. I don't even queue. Like for a while I was queuing free play in hard, and I don't even do that anymore. Way too many like, oh, it's perfect, continue to look and be like, what the fuck is this 1 percentile? Yeah. You get blues in GM2? I don't remember. Like, usually I just walk past them or just crush them. I don't care personally. Like I look for the one drop. If I get one masterwork or legendary in a GM2 stronghold, I'm happy. That's how like bad my drops have been over the last like month or so. It's true. That's just the way it happens, man. Pretty much only get pros and blues on my GM2 and gameplay recently. Well, you know what? I think there's a lot of superstition. Like, does anyone have superstitions that they try to reinforce? Like last week, someone told me that you have to change your loadout every single time. So don't even have to change your build, just change the loadout slot. Like I've heard changing javelins does things, and then changing loadouts does things. Yeah, neither do I, but I tried it last week and I got 1 legendary. But it took me 5 switches, I think. All my loadouts are exactly the same. But just, you know, different colors and stuff, because I'm a nerd. I don't think it's a case. Like I said, it's a superstition, and I kind of just ran with it. Like I'm very superstitious when it comes to a lot of things. Like if that worked, if that guaranteed me stuff, I would do it every single time, because that's just how I am with superstitions. Like one of my group's superstitions is that if someone gets a legendary, they have to open the rest of the chest, and then the next person to get a legendary opens the rest of the chest. And then whoever gets another legendary, they open the chest. So whoever is most recent to getting a legendary opens the next chest. That's just a superstition we have, and we roll with it every time. It's the way we've always done it. But I don't think there is a set plan or reasoning behind why things work. But we've seen it actually pan out. No, like it's just not like directly, because we're not paying attention to like the drops at that point. But usually we get 4 a week between the group of us. We play for about maybe 1 or 2 hours. Like it's tough to play the game every day right now because there's not a lot of stuff to do, and just doing the same thing over and over with diminishing returns is not the best usage of time for me personally. You know, I play 5 or 6 games that warrant 20 plus hours a week. So devoting anything more than 4 or 5 hours to Anthem right now is really difficult, seeing that the return on gear is not the same. So if I play anything else, I can spend an hour to 2 hours doing whatever I want to do and get something that I need to get for that week. Anthem is just not like that right now, and that's why it's tough to go in there consistently every week. If that changes, if I can go in every day and get one particular thing, so if I knew that I can get one particular drop every single day, I would go do it. That's why when you had the Elysian caches, it says you can get this 1 key a day, and then you can get 1 item in the chest, or maybe 4 items in the chest if everybody has a key. But at least you had that 1 guaranteed thing every single day that you can go in and do. That creates an urgency to do, or you know, some sort of urgency to go in every single day and do it. That's what the game needs more of that right now. Now, if they guaranteed us a legendary every single day, or you know, do X amount of stuff a week and you get a legendary, I'd be okay with that. And they're slowly losing its draw for me. I've started playing D2 more. I find I've started playing No Man's Sky again. See, like I've never stopped playing D2. I have almost over 2,000 hours in Destiny 2. I'll never stop playing it. I've been playing Warframe a lot more. I've been playing Dauntless a lot more lately. It's just whatever is going to give me stuff and make me feel like my time is being rewarded is what I'm going to play. I think something's going to come back, Gamer Papa, but we got to see. EA plays next weekend. I think they're going to show us something and give us a timeline of when things are going to come out. But until then, really patiently waiting for whatever's next, you know. So trying to get Outbreak in D2. I got it day 1. We didn't screw around with that. But we got one of our clan members through it this morning. But see, like that's the thing. There's this thing that you can go get. It's a direct path to go get it. It's challenging, but the gear is very good. So you can go in there, get your posse together, get the thing, and you have the thing. But there's an urgency. There's a pathway to getting what the thing is that you want. And if Anthem had more of that, people would be more inclined to play. If people knew what they were getting or had things to get on a consistent basis, they'd be playing more. So Outbreak is a good thing right now for Destiny 2, but if there was nothing else, people wouldn't be playing. You know, there's plenty of seasonal pursuits that people are chasing every single season. You know, different pinnacle weapons that people can go into. And I hate comparing Anthem to Destiny all the time, but it seems to be pretty close. It's Doc Savage. It's 100% like what needs to happen moving forward. There needs to be urgency. or something to chase, something specific to chase, not just like play content and get stuff. That's not, I don't think that's rewarding enough for the player base right now, and especially with all of these other games to play. So if you have, so right now you have Destiny, Division, Warframe, you have Borderlands 3 coming in September. That's a lot of games that are going to garner a lot of time played, that BioWare just doesn't have the draw right now with Anthem to afford to lose players. So giving people more loot is what has to happen now, or there'll be a really slim player base come next month. You know, like, it's, I believe in Anthem and I believe in BioWare, but like, if things aren't going to happen, people aren't going to want to stay around. I think BioWare's at the point they should shut down Anthem. They could partially, no, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Do you know the story? Do you know the story of Final Fantasy 14? Because Final Fantasy 14 launched in a worse state than Anthem did. The game, like, don't get me wrong, the game was probably in a better state at launch, but players didn't like the game, so they had to shut the server down, rebuild the entire game, and they still charge people subscription fees for it. So to say, like, after 3 months that Anthem needs to get shut down, they just need to lick their wounds and move on, is just really short-sighted, honestly. The game is not far from being a very good game, because the gameplay is unmatched by almost anything out there right now. There's no other game out there that you can have that flying. Yeah, look at Final Fantasy 4. Well, it's Final Fantasy 14. Like, let's not get things twisted. I'm gonna talk about Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10. Don't agree. I dig Anthem. I just a tad frustrated. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We don't want to make things worse than they are right now. There needs to be more. There needs to be more stuff. That's true. But they lost so many devs. They didn't lose developers. I don't know how this rumor is getting spread that they've lost all these developers. They lost. The devs were under record. No, like, all right. Here's what happened. Reorganization. No, here's what happened. I will tell you what happened. They brought in 2 extra producers. 2 extra lead producers. Usually a game doesn't have 3 lead producers. They brought in an executive producer in Mark Dara and an extra lead producer in Mike Gamble. So Mark Dara works on Dragon Age and Mike Gamble works on Mass Effect. They were specifically brought in to get the game to launch, and that's it. They weren't part of, like, the team. They weren't ready to be part of this team, but because they need to get the game to launch, they got brought in. Nobody else has left. Nobody else has left. The team that was designed to support this game long term are still there. There's a small team in Edmonton and a large team in Austin right now working on the game relentlessly. Just because yes, they weren't necessarily needed anymore. So Ben Irving is the primary lead producer on the game now. John Warner is still the game director, and Chad Robertson is still the head of live service. So there's nobody that is lost. Like, they didn't lose developers. So, like, the whole hate bait, clickbait bullcrap that people have been spewing around the internet is not necessarily true. You know, like, a game doesn't need 4 producers just to live in live service. There's other people out there working at BioWare to assure that things get done. Jen Chevry is another person that got promoted to associate producer right before Anthem launched. So there's a lot of people working on the game right now. Losing a couple producers isn't make or break, honestly. It got the game to launch to a state where they could launch it, but, you know, there are other people working on this game. They didn't lose developers, not in any stretch of the imagination. Are they be spreading lies then? What are they trying to accomplish? The YouTubers that are saying these things, because hate gets more clicks. That's why. I host a web show every week. We get maybe, you know, a handful of views on the replays. I post everything to YouTube, and we get a handful of views on the replays. if I said BioWare, you know, Anthem was the worst game ever and BioWare's going to shut it down, I would get triple the amount of views consistently because we're talking poorly about it. It's just how the algorithms work, and it's how content gets pushed forward. The more things get clicked on, because people love controversy. You know, but if we're trying to just support the community, we're taking all the information in here. If people want to give us suggestions, I work very closely in hand, because it's unprofessional. It's unprofessional. Wasn't there talk of another Dragon Age? Better to have the right people there. Yes, there is another. I forget. It's the Dire Wolf Rises. I forget. It's like something like the Dire Wolf Rises, I think it's called. There's definitely 100% another Dragon Age in production, and they announced it right before the Game Awards. Yeah, but like if a company were to single out one or a handful of YouTubers, it's just unprofessional. That's just perception then. You speak with actions, not words. So when they come out and they want to come out with content, if they're working on things, people are just gonna say, oh well, you're not, you know, how long are you gonna be working on stuff? The game's dead already. You know, why even bother? You know, like that's what people are gonna say. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna continue to work on it, give us good content when they're ready to roll it out, and communicate when the communication's not good. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say that the communication we've had over the last month is good, because it's not. It's pretty much been radio silence since the last developer posting. I think the last week of April that was. And then the community team just spoke a few times over the last few weeks about them doing some server side stuff. But besides that, it's been a lot of nothing. But I don't think they're sitting on their hands. I don't think they're sitting on their hands. I think Anthem can be great, waiting patiently for the devs to drop there for the sake of thinking. No, you can't look at it like that, because the game didn't even get off the ground yet. Like we didn't get Act 1 yet. You know, like, so everything they said was going to be in Act 1 has not been delivered on yet. So we're basically in the prologue. Like that's where you have to look at it right now. You know, like it's longer than we want it to be, but it's not. The game doesn't need to be transformed. There just needs more stuff. Yeah, but it doesn't get you anywhere in a professional sense. At this point, they need to underpromise and overdeliver. Yeah, no, Psychotic, I agree with you 100%. I don't blame them. The haters and trolls are falling to devs every time they post it. Just hopefully EA play. Yeah, I agree. Gamer Pop 100%, man. From like, so EA is a publicly traded company. The developers can't go at people like that for risk of, you know, further defaming themselves. There's ramifications that would happen if you are, you know, a publicly traded company and people are investing into your business, that they can't go and say these things. There's other companies out there like CD Projekt Red. They can say whatever they want because they are not a publicly traded company. They're a private company. They're an indie studio. So there's certain levels of confidentiality you need to have and professionalism that you need to have so that these things don't happen moving forward. The EA acts, in what sense? If they were petty and took on all the trolls to drive them into their... Yeah, well, they just can't do it. Like, there's no sense in doing it because people are at a point where they're not gonna see the bright side of it. They're always gonna see the negative of it. So if a troll is gonna sit there and continue to be negative about it, they're never going to see the positive, regardless of whether like it's actual fact or not. So if BioWare says we have this great thing, we just can't tell you about it yet, which is what they're going to say, anyone that's doubting them is just going to say, you've been saying that for months, you know, where's the proof? And they just can't show it yet because they have to meet certain expectations at this point. Well, Anthem has not gone against EA at all. it underperformed sales wise, but like BioWare is not going to get axed anytime soon. They're one of the few studios like left at EA that aren't like a main EA studio. Well, that's not the case either. Like EA doesn't have any say over like the day-to-day, you know. If they want to consolidate like they did with Montreal, they can do that. But they got moved all over different EA studios. But I think we covered all our bases as far as like what we wanted to talk about with Anthem today. We're gonna jump over to gameplay in a minute here. Yeah, no, I agree, Doc. I'm just gonna hang until things get fixed, and then when I start playing, it's better. My friends will come back. Yeah, that's the way I feel too. Like I said, me and my friends, we play once a week. See, I think a lot of that article is bullshit. Like, I don't necessarily believe some people that are like, people want to take out the worst part of things. So when an article like that comes out and they say like conditions are bad and this, that, and the other thing, like they're not disagreeing with you. Like Casey Hudson even came out and said like, look, things, you know, weren't the best. Like we could have done things a little bit better, but I think the severity of what they were aren't as bad as anyone made them out to be. And I think that that's something that was made worse because of the gravity of the situation going on right now. But like I said, I'm gonna take a 2-minute break so I get some water because I'm feeling a bit parched, and we'll jump into some Anthem gameplay. But guys, I appreciate you all hanging out for the conversation. We'll be back again next week, and hopefully we start hearing some whispers, because I think those are coming soon. If you want to follow on YouTube, I can post that link in there. We're pretty close to 100 subs. Hey, absolutely, man. We're here every single week, man. Every single week. I post all of the... You hot dog water boy, thank you for the follow, man. Got some things cleared up. Yeah, man, dude, we're just here to support the community, man. Doc17 with a follow, man. Sub on YouTube as well. I put all the past episodes on YouTube so you guys can watch them if you miss an episode here. But every Monday night, 8 o'clock, we're going to do this. We talk for about an hour. Gameplay. Peddler, thank you so much for the follow. Guys, really appreciate the support today. I'll be back in like 2.5 minutes because we're going to get water. We're going to blow some stuff up in Anthem and then see where the night goes. But thank you so much. If you guys are going to take off, I understand. Take time to be with your families. If you served, thank you for your time. You know, thank you for your service. Today is not necessarily about the soldiers in the active military, but you know, the ones we lost, and we got to remember their sacrifice because they were the absolute greatest. But guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. See you in a minute. Postal, what's up, man? I'll be back in 2 minutes, Postal. All right.